want to test your algebra a little bit more and we make things a little bit more interesting. And so again, we emphasize that stuff needs to come from your previous work. So f of x is equal to 1 over x. What is f of x plus h, Ahad? What will f of x plus h be? So rightfully you've mentioned that f of x plus h will be 1 over x plus h. But okay, I'm not too interested in this part right now. That's what we're going to look at in the next slide. Can anybody tell me what f prime of x will be? Firstly, can I use the power rule here? No, because it must be in a polynomial form. But this isn't a polynomial, it's a rational function, so I must put it in a mimicked polynomial. I need to make it look like a polynomial. X to the power of negative 1. Okay, so now I apply the power rule, f prime of x. What's the power rule going to say?
Negative x to the power of negative 2.
Negative 1 times x is negative x, and a minus 1 from this thing becomes negative 2. Very, very good. Okay, now, right? So, f of x is equal to 1 over x, right? Are you guys with me? And let's go with green. F of x plus h is what? Is what? 1 over 1 over x plus h. And then the derivative is equal to f prime of x is equal to what? Limit as h tends to 0 of f of x plus h, which I'm going to put in green. Right? Minus, and then in purple, f of x. And as you can see, this is all over h, right? Okay, so let's continue further. I'm going to move my equal to sign over a little bit, so that's just that I have more space, and this equals limit as h tends to 0. F of x plus h, you know now, is a function which is what? 1 over x plus h, yes? And this will be negative, right? And that's going to be what? What is this? 1 over x. What simpler form? That's the simplest version.
You can put it in x to the power of negative 2 plus h to the power of negative 2.
Okay, and that's all over h. Now, guys, ultimately we want to work towards something where we can easily get things out or factorize or whatever. Right now we can't immediately substitute this in, so we have to manipulate what we see above here. Okay, and so how do we do that? Well, we can say I've got two fractions above, and I might want to turn that into one fraction, because that's how I would simplify that. So how do you turn this thing, which I'm going to put on the new page, 1 over x plus h minus 1 over x. How do you turn this into one thing? You LCD it. So that's going to be x into x plus h. Now you apply the LCD to this, because that's my LCD. I take that and I multiply it by this. What cancels out? X plus, and I'm left with x. Do you see that? No. Okay, so we take that. We now have x plus h times x, and we multiply that by the first term. When we do that, we see that we have x remaining, right? I put down the minus sign. Now I take this entire LCD and multiply it by this. The x and the x cancels out, and I'm left with x plus h. Okay, righto. So that is what we are interested in now. X minus x plus h. So when you simplify this whole thing, what do you get? And you only end up with not just h, negative h over x into x plus h. Do you see that? Okay. So now I'm going to use this result. I'm going to write this. As you know, this whole thing is equivalent to this thing. So I'm just going to use this result and I'm going to put it in there. Okay. Right? Or do you want me to? Let's go and put it here. Limit as h tends to 0 all over h. Now I'm going to have one fraction on top. Let me just put it in violet. One fraction on top, that's going to be x into x plus h. Mama. X into x plus h. And what we're going to be left with here is you're going to have x, right? And then the minus sign into x plus h. Do you see that? Okay. Now as you know, that simplifies. The x and the negative x cancels out, and then you're left with negative h. And let's go further. Let's see. This is going to be limit as h tends to 0 of the top fraction is going to be h, negative h, over h, x into x plus h. This is all divided by h. Now, would you agree with me that when this is divided by h, it's the same as h over 1? Okay, let's simplify that thing further. That's the limit. Let's do this. And let's continue on this side. Okay, this equivalence relation of the sign is continuing from here. That's the limit. Can you guys see that? Of negative h over x into x plus h. Right? This was divided by h over 1. So now we're going to multiply by 1 over h. And now that and that cancels. And what am I left with?
Negative 1.
Limit as h tends to 0 of negative 1 over x into x plus h. At this point, you go and you evaluate the limit. So you simply insert what you're going to put in h? 0. Okay? And then when you do this, you get as a result of negative 1 over x times x, which is negative 1 over x squared. And as you know, that's the same as saying that's negative, move this to the top, x to the power of negative 2. Now you go back to what we found previously. Isn't that what we got there? Okay, so guys, as you can see, if you get a question like this, if you don't look after the LCD and master your algebra, you will struggle with this part, which means you forfeit the last 3 or 4 marks. Okay, but anyway, good luck.